Hey everyone, Snow Crash, 1992, Neil Stephenson. Super interesting book, raises a lot of interesting questions around technology, communication, ethics. Today, some things I want to explore around machine learning. We've seen some super interesting developments with ChatGPT, MidJourney, and other platforms with machine learning capabilities which ingest large data sets and are able to synthesize essentially new information out of them. So in the novel Snow Crash, we have our main protagonist, hero protagonist, who describes his life as a loose cannon ninja pizza delivery driver hacker guy who also sometimes lives in the metaverse. And there's an interesting bit about his emergency backup job as a freelance stringer for the CIC, the Central Intelligence Corporation. In the story, the CIC was built on the bones of the Library of Congress and the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, after the government collapsed. Most people are not entirely clear on what the word Congress means. And even the word library is getting hazy. It used to be a place full of books, mostly old ones. Then they began to include videotapes, records, and magazines. Then all of the information got converted into machine-readable form, which is to say, ones and zeros. So as the government was falling apart in this story, a merger between the Library of Congress and the CIC database, now simply known as the library, became more and more searchable through increasingly sophisticated means. This effectively created an open source library of all the known knowledge in the universe. And Hero, his job as a stringer, is basically a freelance journalist. These stringers upload information, which clients of the CIC library can then access. At any point, millions of stringers are uploading millions of fragments of information at the same time. And this information can be video, audio, code, poetry, prose, gossip, jokes, etc. Sky's the limit. Stringers are then paid piecemeal based on whether the information uploaded is actually useful, whether it actually gets used later on, and the user will then pay the stringer. There is a piece of this which struck me as particularly interesting. These clients of the CIC can access the database, and then basically they have to manually search it to find what they need. However sophisticated this search mechanism thingy may be, this struck me as odd because in 2023, with the advent of machine learning and AI and everything that we've seen with ChatGPT and etc., some questions came to mind when thinking about this passage. How would machine learning disrupt this data lookup process? We've seen how tools like ChatGPT can pretty effortlessly scrape a mountain of information and provide reasonable answers, a majority at least of the time. So what would the world of Snow Crash look like with today's machine learning processes in the mix? The CIC's clients, mostly large corporations and sovereigns, rifle through the library looking for useful information. And if they find a use for something that Hero put into it, Hero gets paid. But what if there wasn't a need for this rifling through the system? What if, with machine learning, an algorithm could simply spit out the information needed based on a prompt? And would this change how data would be attributed to a stringer? If the uploaded data needs to be attributed to a stringer in order to get them paid, how does this work exactly if, instead of searching for a particular fragment of data in its original state, a machine learning algorithm returns sort of like a mixed response to best serve the input prompt and draws from multiple sources? In this context, is there any concept of intellectual property? Can a fact be stored on the blockchain with authorship attributed to a stringer? We've already seen how ChatGPT tries, at least, and sometimes struggles with this. For example, if you ask ChatGPT to return the sources of its information, it usually can't. And what determines original content anyway? And what if the substance of the content uploaded is either identical or nearly identical to the pre-existing content in the database by coincidence? And what if the substance of the content uploaded is derivative of some pre-existing content? This idea in particular brings to mind image generation software like MidJourney, with which a user can generate an image based on a text prompt or even based on a pre-existing image. Is a MidJourney user who generates art based on a prompt an artist? Do they have any claim to intellectual property of an image generated based on machine learning, which has studied other images? If a MidJourney user decides to sell a piece of work, an image which was generated based on another artist's work, can the original artist claim royalties? Well, the truth is, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the answer to any of these questions from a legal perspective, so we're just gonna ask ChatGPT. If a MidJourney user decides to sell an image which was generated based on another artist's work, can the original artist claim royalties? If a user creates a derivative work based on another artist's work without permission, the original artist may have the legal right to claim royalties for the use of their work. This is because the copyright holder of the original work has the exclusive right to create derivative works based on their work. If someone else creates a derivative work without permission, they may be infringing on the copyright holder's exclusive rights. In order to use another artist's work as the basis for a new work, it is generally necessary to obtain permission from the copyright holder and possibly pay royalties. All right, let's ask another one. Is an image generated by MidJourney considered to be based on another artist's work? And it says, if you are referring to an image that is created using software or program, blah, 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 developed by MidJourney, yes, and the image is based on or incorporates another artist's work, then it is possible that the original artist may have the legal right to claim royalties for the use of their work. This would depend on whether the use of the original work is protected by copyright and whether the user has obtained permission to use the work or has a valid defense to copyright infringement. Next one, in the world of Snow Crash, how does a stringer get paid? How does the library know that this fragment of information is attributed to that stringer? Stringers are able to tag their information with a digital signature, which allows the library to identify the source of the information and ensure that they are properly compensated for their work. Stringers can also set their own prices for the information they provide, and the library will automatically pay them when a user accesses their information. The library uses a system of smart contracts to facilitate these transactions and ensure that stringers are paid fairly for their contributions. All right, last one. What would the world of Snow Crash look like if the CIC library used machine learning? And it says, it is not clear how the use of machine learning would specifically impact the world of Snow Crash as depicted in the novel. However, the use of machine learning could potentially enhance the abilities of the CIC by allowing it to process and analyze large amounts of data more quickly and accurately. For example, the library could use machine learning algorithms to identify patterns and trends in the data that might not be easily discernible by humans, or to automate the classification and organization of information. The use of machine learning could also potentially allow the library to provide more personalized recommendations or search results to users based on their individual interests and preferences. However, it is important to note that the use of machine learning also raises certain ethical and social issues that would need to be carefully considered and addressed. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, definitely highly recommend this book. It was, sort of monumental in inspiring a lot of programmers, myself included. Give it a read if you have the time. Do highly recommend it. Thanks for watching. I will see you all in the next video.